Hello and welcome back to the Florida Rights Institute informational video series. Today we're going to be talking about Florida permitless carry of firearms. This is an overview of the rights of gun owners to carry guns without a permit in Florida. As always, please do remember the following presentation is meant for informational purposes only and is not intended as legal advice. Seek a licensed attorney if you need legal assistance. House Bill 543 was signed by Governor Ron DeSantis on April 3, 2023, which enacted permitless carry going into effect July 1st, 2023. The key change here was amending Section 790.01 of the Florida statutes, which authorizes a person to carry a concealed weapon or concealed firearm if you receive a license or meet specified requirements according to the new permitless carry law. Permitless carry is not the ability for anyone to carry any gun anywhere in Florida. The limitations of permitless carry have the same restrictions for a concealed weapons permit generally, just without the paperwork. You can see this in the language of 790.01b that states that if a person is not licensed but otherwise satisfies the criteria for receiving and maintaining such a license under Section 790.0628f, I'd-N, and 3 and 10. Those restrictions involve age, weapon limitations, a lack of certain kinds of criminal records or prohibited actions, and respect to no carry zones. With age, a permitless carrier must be 21 years or older as per Florida Statute 790.062b. The weapons one may carry under 790.061a are not unlimited. For the purposes of this section, the term concealed weapon or concealed firearm means a handgun, electric weapon or device, tear gas gun, knife, or billy, but does not include a machine gun as that term is defined in Section 790.001. So special note, only handguns, not rifles, are covered in this. And a handgun, as defined in 790.00110, means a firearm capable of being carried and used on one hand, such as a pistol or revolver. There are certain crimes or actions that can make someone a prohibited person for the purposes of permitless carry. According to 790.06, the prohibited persons list is exhaustive, so be sure to reference that and pay attention to make sure you don't fall under it. A person carrying cannot suffer from a physical infirmity which prevents a safe handling of a weapon or firearm. A person who's been convicted of a felony cannot carry the firearm pursuant to Section 790.23. In addition, a person cannot have been found guilty of a crime under the provisions of Chapter 893 or similar laws of any other state relating to controlled substances within a 3-year period immediately preceding the date on which the application is submitted, or in this case, a person is carrying. A person cannot have been committed for the abuse of a controlled substance under Chapter 397 or under the provisions of former Chapter 396 or similar laws of any other state. A person who is carrying without a permit cannot be chronically and habitually using alcoholic beverages or other substances to the extent his or her normal faculties are impaired. Prohibited people include those who have been adjudicated as incapacitated or who have been committed to a mental institution. A person who had an adjudication of guilt withheld or imposition of a sentence suspended on any felony cannot carry unless 3 years have elapsed since probation or any other conditions set by the court have been fulfilled or expunction has occurred. In addition to felonies and mental health situations, a person cannot carry if they had an adjudication of guilt withheld or imposition of sentence suspended on any misdemeanor crime of domestic violence unless 3 years have elapsed since probation or any other conditions set by the court have been fulfilled or the record has been expunged. A person cannot also have had an injunction currently in force put against them that restrains the applicant or the carrier from committing acts of domestic violence or acts of repeat violence. And generally, in catch-all, a person cannot be prohibited from purchasing or possessing a firearm by any other provision of Florida or federal law. Be sure to reference this chapter for more exhaustive coverage in detail. In addition to prohibited persons, there's also prohibited areas. So a person who is carrying without a permit is also restrained and cannot carry into certain secure or sterile areas. A person cannot carry a concealed weapon or concealed firearm into any place of nuisance as defined in Section 823.05, any police, sheriff, or highway patrol station, any detention facility, prison, or jail, any courthouse, any courtroom, except that nothing in the section precludes or would preclude a judge from carrying a concealed weapon or concealed firearm or determining who will carry a concealed weapon or concealed firearm in his or her courtroom, any polling place, any meeting of the governing body of a county, public school district, municipality, or special district, any meeting of the legislature or committee thereof, any school, college, or professional athletic event not related to firearms, any elementary or secondary school facility or administration building, any career center, any portion of an establishment licensed to dispense alcoholic beverages for consumption of the premises, which portion of the establishment is primarily devoted to such purpose, any college or university facility unless a licensee is a registered student, employee, or faculty member of such college or university and the weapon is a stun gun or non-lethal electric weapon or device designed solely for defensive purposes and the weapon does not fire a dart or projectile. The inside of the passenger terminal and sterile area of any airport, provided that no person shall be prohibited from carrying a legal firearm into the terminal, which firearm is encased for shipment for purposes of checking such firearm as baggage to be lawfully transported on any aircraft, or any place where the carrying of firearms is prohibited by federal law. Those who carry permitlessly still need to carry identification, section 790.013 of the Florida statutes is created in this bill, and it reads that a person who carries a concealed weapon or concealed firearm without a license as authorized under section 790.011b to 1a must carry valid identification at all times when he or she is in actual possession of a concealed weapon or concealed firearm, and must display such identification upon demand by a law enforcement officer. A violation of this subsection is a non-criminal violation, punishable by a $25 fine payable to the clerk of court. For identification, likely a driver's license or state ID card will suffice. Something with a color photograph issued by the state is the strongest to have. As a violation of this section has been a non-criminal fine in the past, there really isn't much case law in this area to delve into edge cases for what counts as ID, so it's going to be a novel area if this comes up and someone is using something that's not a state ID card or a driver's license for ID. Non-residents are also able to carry concealed weapons or concealed firearms as long as they're following the same rules for residents. If they're 21 years of age or older and they satisfy the criteria as before for a permitless carrier who's a resident, or they have in their immediate possession a valid license to carry a concealed weapon or concealed firearm issued to them from his or her state, they can actually carry firearms the same way that residents can in Florida. In summary, Florida residents aged 21 and older with non-prohibiting records and safe behavior as described in Florida Statute 790.06 could carry their handgun without needing to get a permit in Florida. They just need a form of valid ID to avoid a non-criminal fine if an officer demands it. So just remember, you don't have to hand it over by default, only if the officer is asking. Non-residents could do the same under the same criteria, or if they have a valid concealed weapons permit from their home state, they can rely on that permit. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation on permitless carry in the state of Florida. For more informational educational videos, please subscribe to this channel and visit floridarights.org.